Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. I believe we have a quorum. Do I need to do a roll call, or do you do it? Okay.
Chad Scott, Michelle Dempsey,
Here.
Nancy Bertels,
Here.
Aaron Malone,
Here.
Eric Palin, Susan Hillman, Camilla Potts,
Here.
and Sally Pollen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month? Is there any discussion on the minutes from last month?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Is there a second motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll second that.
Okay, last month's minutes are approved. Okay, I guess we're on to staff reports.
If it pleases the board, I'm going to defer to Ms. Morrissey to complete her reviews.
Thank you, Mr. Leslie. Good evening, Library Citizen Advisory Committee. For the record, I'm Jillian Morrissey, the Community Development Director, and I have a final decision for you this evening on the library material, The Haters, Damsel, and Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation. I have provided a copy of the ordinance 24039 at the end of this memo that establishes the Citizen Advisory Committee to review and make recommendations to the administration regarding challenged library materials as a reference for the LCAC and for the public. To make my decision, I've reviewed the provided staff reports, the LCAC meeting recordings with your comments, your scorecards, and the votes on the books from The Haters, Damsel, and Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation. I would also like to note additional insight and information. Number one, there have been questions about why the LCAC was being asked to answer the evaluation criteria questions. The evaluation criteria selection is included on your scorecard because the same questions are in the material selection guidance section of the MSB Libraries Collection Development Policy and states, in quotes, the purpose of the MSB Libraries Material Selection Guidance is to provide MSB library staff members and inform the MSB Library Board, MSB Library Citizen Advisory Committee, and the public about the principles upon which the selections are based. The primary objective of library material selection in MSB libraries is to collect material of current interest and significance, as well as those of permanent value, end quote. I have considered the request to remove or change certain questions from the evaluation criteria, but have chosen to retain the entirety of the questions as is, because although not all the questions are relevant to these books, selected to be reviewed by the LCAC, we do not know the nature and content of every future book to be reviewed. Maintaining consistency preserves the integrity of the process, even if the individual questions may or may not pertain to the current material being reviewed. Number two, libraries routinely weed library collections in order to ensure relevancy and usage. Damsel was first procured by a borough library in 2018 and is available at 3 separate libraries. The checkout rate remains consistent at 2, and this shows relevancy to the community. The checkout rate of The Haters procured in 2016 and Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation procured in 2018, available at a single borough library, also remains consistent. Number 3, as stated in the staff reports, none of these books were reviewed by the Mat-Su Borough School District LCAC. However, additional information from the district states, in quotes, The Haters was on the original list of challenge books to be reviewed by MSBSD, but was removed from the list of 56 books because it was designated as lost or stolen in the library catalog. The library catalog info indicated 0 copies and zero total checkouts of Haters, end quote, when the district was looking at titles in their systems for review. Number 4, despite several comments on the ages of the young adult section from members of the public, the Mat-Su Borough Library's young adult section is designated 16 and over. Number 5, multiple comments from several members of the LCAC are concerned about the placement of the books in the collections and that there are not safeguards for minors and under in perusing and selecting material. The borough respects parental rights and parental choice to apply for a library card for their child and to use community libraries. When a parent applies for a library card in borough libraries, their signature indicates that they, in quote, accept responsibility for their child's selection of materials, end quote. Additionally, parents can view their child's selections at any time by looking at the account online or directly inquiring at the library. To date, current patrons that have applied for a library card for their child have not requested that borough libraries provide additional access restrictions to the library collections. Number 6 is the summary of your dispositions for the 3 books. The comments from the LCAC and the completed scorecard speak mainly to the appropriateness of the material for children or provide an opinion on the reading selections of adults. The comments from the members under the evaluation criteria section of the scorecards do not preclude me to restrict an adult from selecting or accessing these books. Additionally, I believe the 3 books at this time reflect relevancy and interest from patrons at their community library as demonstrated by their checkout rate. These factors and our administrative policy determine my decision that the books, The Haters, Damsel, and Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, shall remain in borough libraries and will be reshelved to the adult collection. I have one more memo to read into the record this evening. This memo is being delivered tonight to you to the Library Citizen Advisory Committee and is also will be delivered to the Library Board. The Library Citizen Advisory Committee has reviewed 6 books since the commencement of their work. As of the reconsideration request submittal, all 6 books were shelved in the young adult collection and have since been reshelved in the adult section of the library collections at their respective libraries. These final decisions have been made following comprehensive legal counsel with careful consideration of the dispositions provided by the Citizens Advisory Group. While advisory dispositions have not been adopted, with the exception of the Anne Frank one, which was 4 had selected, it moved to the adult selection. While advisory dispositions have not been adopted, the concerns raised by certain members of the LCAC and public testimony have been noted. This memo will address the ongoing efforts to respond to these concerns. Number 1, the library strategic planning process. The Community Development Department initiated a library strategic planning process in the winter of 2025 to guide improvements in library operations, including policy updates, technology enhancements, and procedural refinements. The department utilized borough procurement to engage a contractor for this project. Significant public outreach was conducted through in-person open houses and meetings, engaging advisory boards, staff, and key stakeholders. The contractor meticulously documented this outreach and research before concluding their contract. Moving forward, the Community Development Department will lead the analysis of the gathered data and will oversee the drafting of the plan narrative. To ensure a comprehensive plan, additional data will be collected to inform the strategic plan, which will be completed this summer. As part of this process, a survey was published on April 8th for families with children who hold a borough library card. This survey focused on parents and guardians will provide valuable insights as part of our continued effort to enhance library services and resources for our community. The survey will close on May 8th. Number 2, materials submitted for reconsideration. Currently, there are 10 books in the LCAC materials submitted for reconsideration queue, either under review or awaiting review by the body. 4 of these books have already been reviewed by the Matanuska-Susitna School District, LCAC, and presented to the Matanuska-Susitna School District School Board for final decisions. Below are the titles and their corresponding decisions. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, returned to the Library of Origin and reshelved. Verity by Colleen Hoover, removed from the MSBSD libraries. Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, returned to the Library of Origin and reshelved. Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch by Gregory Maguire, returned to the Library of Origin and reshelved. The Borough LCAC may choose to take this information under advisement and engage in discourse on this matter on the dais and opt to leverage the work of the Matanuska-Susitna School District LCAC to expedite further material reviews. Number 3, new responsibilities beginning August 12, 2025. Commencing August 12, 2025, the Borough Library Board will be taking on new responsibilities as part of process improvements. This appointed group will begin reviewing batch library collection procurement materials. If any member has reservations regarding specific materials, those items may be flagged for further discussion at a subsequent meeting. Further details will be provided to that board by staff as August approaches to ensure a smooth transition and to facilitate their work. We are committed to sharing updates with the public, elected officials, and advisory boards as more information becomes available. And that concludes my memos that I'm reading into the record for tonight. I thank you for your service and thank you for your time. Ms. Thomas will be able to provide copies of the memos to the public and to the members of the board. Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Hugh Leslie, Recreation and Library Services Manager. My report is much more brief than Ms. Morrissey's, but I do appreciate the things that she said. Right now, you have 6 books on your agenda. You may select one, none, or all of them, or any combination between that. What we will ask you folks tonight by the end of the meeting is to determine which books you would like to review and in what order, so that we can order them and have them ready for you in a timely fashion. So that would be my request to the committee tonight, is come up with a priority list so that we can get them coming for you. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have no questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I think we're on to the next part, which is audience participation. Okay, the first person on the list is Nancy Robinson.
Good evening. Apparently my handwriting is worse than I thought. My name is Mary, M-A-R-Y, Robinson, R-O-B-I-N-S-O-N. I'm a Matanuska-Susitna resident, and I represent myself. First, I would like to read a response from the editorial board of the Fairbanks News Miner. A member of the local Moms for Liberty in Fairbanks wrote a letter to the editor talking about how books should be removed from the school library. And this was a portion of their reply. And again, this is the editorial board of the Fairbanks News Miner. Attempts to remove books because some find them objectionable ultimately limit opportunities for all students. The role of a school library is not to sanitize or narrow the world, but to open it up. Parents have every right to guide their own child's reading, but not to make those decisions for everyone else's children. The News Miner stands for the right to read, the right to think, and the right for families, not outside groups, to make decisions about their children's education. We've spoken many times what the legal definitions are. Censorship and intellectual freedom. Intellectual freedom is the right of every individual to both seek and receive information from all points of view without restriction. It provides for free access to all expressions of ideas through which any and all sides of a question, cause, or movement may be explored. Censorship, and these are the legal definitions. Censorship is the suppression of ideas and information that certain persons, individuals, groups, or government officials find objectionable or dangerous. It is no more complicated than someone saying, don't let anyone read this book, or buy that magazine, or view that film, because I object to it. Is my time up? Yes, it is. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next is Linda S.
My name is Linda Spohn. I'm a borough tax-paying resident. I do not want our hard-earned tax dollars funding DEI, LGBTQ, transgendering minors, or obscene material in our borough libraries. This material is harmful for children, young adults, and adults. As a citizen of this borough, I appreciate the fact that we have a Library Citizens Advisory Committee, and I thank you for your service. Although I disagree with your vote at the last meeting to move the book Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, to the adult historical fiction section. First, because if the author wanted to write historical fiction, maybe the title and main character should have been fictitious as well, rather than tainting the character of a young, innocent, Jewish 15-year-old girl who died in a concentration camp from typhoid and starvation approximately just 2 weeks before the concentration camp was liberated. The book Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, is racist and obscene and should not be purchased with taxpayer funds. And I might add, if you want it, it's available. We're not saying to censor it, ban it, or burn it. Now, let's also remember another Jew who shed his blood for each of us, who accept and trust his ultimate sacrifice on our own personal behalf. Glory, honor, and praise to his holy name, Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you. I cannot read the next person's. That's probably... So please state your name and spell it when you come up.
It's Mark Spohn, S-P-O-H-N. Thank you. You guys have quite a task at hand there, and I don't envy any of you to read the books that you're asked to read. Nobody should be asked to do that. So thank you for taking that task on. But it's been written by many people that understand and study this stuff, that pornography addiction is the largest addiction in the whole world. And we're using, what happened to common sense? What happened to common sense? We can't use common sense. As a taxpayer, I can't even believe we're having these meetings. That's not a proper function of government, to use taxpayer money to fund porn in any institution, whether it be a library or anywhere. There's plenty of it available. It's not like you're saying it's not available, but you're using taxpayer funds for this purpose. So think about that when you make a decision. Is that good use of taxpayer funds? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jackie.
Thank you. My name is Jackie Goforth. In the pipeline right now, you have books that are in the adult sections of the library. The ask now is to remove them from the library, and the reason why is because I put in 38 challenges 2 years ago on self-created forms that said to destroy, and somehow those got put online to call me a liar. and I am not going to be called a liar, so here I am to make the case. Obscenity has been defined by the Supreme Court in Miller versus California in 1973. That's where your Miller test questions come from. That led to the Alaska Statute 1161.128. Now, there are books in the borough libraries that fit that test. Secondly, in 2003, there's a Supreme Court decision, the United States against the American Library Association, where Chief Justice Rehnquist said that public libraries are to procure only material that is of value to the community and that contains requisite and appropriate quality. Third, the librarians will check out any of the material in the library to a minor. They continually state that the parent has responsibility for what the children read, not the distributor. However, nobody mentions that at the library conference in Fairbanks in March 2023, information was given out, and I'm going to paraphrase, that it's a librarian's duty to get sexual content into young people's hands, especially children in conservative households, where the parents would be able to tell that it's sexual material based on the cover. That's why these books are so important, because the content is hidden between the covers. That's where the LCAC comes in. Your input is so important to show that hidden content to parents. That's why it's imperative that a parent knows what's being hidden. Bottom line, parents have the right to decide what level of sexuality their children read. Not to be surprised by it when they open the book and start reading and it's in the middle of it. Librarians and educators or anyone else, including me, don't have the right to tell what a parent allows their children to read. Only the parent does. And I rarely care what the progressive Marxist leftist people pushing this agenda call me, but I will not be called a liar. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jackie. Next is Janine.
Good evening, Jeannie Troshinsky. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your service. I know that this takes a lot of time, and I know that you are seriously considering each of these books. There's so many things to say in 2 minutes. Mostly, I can't stop thinking about the freedom to read, the freedom to parent as parents see appropriate. This is just so much craziness. Yeah, it is a waste of borough money to do all these hearings. $89,000 paid by the school district to the ACLU because that lawsuit was going nowhere good. And that's just the money paid to the ACLU lawyers. You notice how the paper never tells us how much was paid to the borough school district lawyers? Guarantee it's a lot more than $89,000. We are wasting so much money on some highfalutin idea that we need to make everybody, every single person, white and go to the same church. What a hateful, cruel thing. I can't believe that I'm seeing this stuff in our borough, because I do live in this community and I know a diversity of people. There are people of every color, race, religion, and the hatred, it just sickens me to my stomach, because that's the bottom line. That's the agenda by these folks that want to ban these books. And they're saying they're not banning them, but they are, if they listened to the definition of banning, if they listened to the definition of censorship. It's just so disappointing, especially in Easter week when Jesus said, I bring a new commandment, to love your neighbor. Not to love the people that look like you, not to love the people that go to your church. Love your neighbor. Whatever you did for the least of my brothers, you did for me. Told a parable about caring for us, working with a Samaritan. That is no mistake. That's because everybody matters.
Karen?
Good evening. Karen Lewis is my name. I think there must be a gas leak in Jeannie's house, because I tell you, she is out to lunch. The purpose of all of this is to get obscene material out of the hands of children. It's that simple. And we have moved most of them from young teens I mean, they call them young adults, but there's a reason for that too. But we've moved them from young teens to adults. However, people are, well, if they're, adults, then we don't have to worry about. Wrong. Every librarian we've spoken with, we ask them, can the child go into the adult and choose any book they want? Yes, they can. They can go into the adult and choose any of these books. And they are obscene according to not only federal law, but state law. The ones that we're challenging, most of them anyway. So what we have to do is figure out a way to mark children's library cards that does not allow them to check out adult material. Now, I know these guys say, well, their parents have signed up. I guarantee you most of those parents do not know what's in these books. And I think the pastors need to find out, and I think the pastors need to warn their parishioners. And if we tell all over 100 churches here in this area what's going on, we haven't done that yet. That's my next goal. So they shouldn't be surprised if there's protests at their libraries and very angry parents about the filth and obscenity that are in a lot of these books. It's good. I'm glad that they moved him out of the children's area into adult, but they still allow kids to check them out. So we need to work on that.
Thank you. That's the end of the sign-up list. Was there anybody else that wanted to testify? Okay, D?
My name is Dee McKee. I represent myself. The statement, the hatred that one of the folks was talking about, there is no hatred coming from any of you, from me, from this community. The hatred is generally coming from the other side. The sole and only reason you guys are sitting there, I'm here and you're all here, is to protect children. I cannot get the mentality that it says, well, we can stop children from, going to bars or running out in the street because we love them. But then in the same breath say it's okay for them to read anything they want, no matter what it's going to do to their soul, their life, or whatever. So I just don't understand. There's a total disconnect there. And do you guys feel that you are successful in what you're doing? How is the tremendous effort that you're putting in? Do you feel you are accomplishing what you started out to accomplish? Anybody want to just raise a hand? Because I when I saw a couple of months ago when I attended the last meeting and Jillian Morrissey stood up there and I think Chad asked her, well, have you, she basically disagreed with pretty much what you said. And he asked her, have you read the books? Long silence. I choose not to answer that question. Asked her twice. I'm sorry, but if you're standing up here as an official in the administration, you have an obligation to find out what you are judging on. And that made me really angry. So I am proceeding with the thing again. I talked at the last week meeting to get library notifications sent out to every account, email. I don't care if it's a cookbook, a comic book, I don't care what it is, but the parents have to know. And they're not going to know because they don't have time. But if they get one, every time anybody checks out anything, at least we're giving them a starting chance to see what their kids are checking out. Whether it is a cookbook or a comic book or one of these nasty books, I don't care. But I would be very discouraged if I were you. And there's got to be one more step beyond Miss Morrissey. I think there is, and I'm going to check that out. But
Thank you.
I'm done. I see.
Is it permissible to see if anybody up here would like to talk to that question before we move on?
This is public comment, not public debate.
I wasn't debating, I was just asking a question.
So now we're going to move on to unfinished business. I don't think we have any. I was not here last month. Did we have any unfinished business? No. Okay. Okay, so now we must move on to deciding on the next books and the order. Is that correct? Sorry, I don't have my glasses, so I'm... We're. Sorry. So sorry. Oh, okay. We did audience participation, unfinished business, and then new business, sorry, which is choosing the next books.
No, you have,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. June to November 2025 meeting schedule.
So the last page in your packet has a proposed meeting schedule for the rest of 2025 that you're going to vote on, just because the last scheduled meeting was in May. There's no December meeting because the chambers are not available. So we'll just skip December again this time.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed meeting schedule for 2025.
I'll second it.
I have a comment about that. I feel like we should skip one summer month. That's my opinion. I like to go fishing in July, and I want 1 month off. That's me. But I can always not come. So everybody else, do you guys want to? We got two motions to approve this agenda.
I believe we have a
We have-
motion to adopt this schedule.
Yes.
That's the motion that's on the floor.
Yes. Okay, so we can vote on the motion. It was a second. Want to start down at the end?
Yes, I vote yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that has been adopted. The schedule has been adopted. So now we're on B, material submitted for reconsideration. So it was mentioned in the report today that 3 of these books we can decide, number 2, number 4, and 6 have already been evaluated. We can choose to evaluate them at our level as well, or maybe we do those last and decide what other books we want to consider and in what order we want to do that. So my first question to everyone here is: do we want to look at Verity, The Bluest Eye, and Water for Elephants?
Okay, as I understand, and help me out, these 6 books are all books that we have not considered. Is that correct? Right. And so we can pick any one of these 6 books.
yeah, you can pick, like, as I started my comments, you can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, or none.
Okay. And you were wanting a schedule so you could order them in the order that we were going to review them. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, I got it now. I got it.
Are there any thoughts? Do we just want to review one a month and just pick the months in order? Anybody?
So the number 2, number 4, and number 6 were reviewed by the school district?
That's what the
already?
report said. They were reviewed by
Yeah.
the school district.
I say we leave those till last.
Okay. Anybody in a disagreement with that?
So we're not going to do the ones at the school board? Till last. Okay, how about 1 and 3 for next month? And see how that goes.
Do we know how big these books are? How many pages they are? To get a better idea? No idea? Okay. Do you guys want to do 2 books in a month? I guess that would be my next question. Are you up for 2 books for June or May?
No. 1 book a month.
Yeah, just 1 book for me. I don't really care, but I'll go along with 1 book a month.
Okay, you're overruled. We're doing 1 book.
So how about in order? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just go in order.
We were
One a
gonna
month.
we
That'll
were
take
gonna
us for the end of the year, right?
we're gonna skip 2, 4, and 6. So we could do 1, 3, 5, and then go to 2, 4, and 6. Those were the ones that were reviewed. We talked
No, they
about,
weren't reviewed by us. They were reviewed by the school district.
yes.
In the school district libraries, not in the public libraries. Am I correct on that?
Yes, that's correct. They were reviewed by the school libraries. I'm sorry, by the school LCAC.
I would suggest just to keep it simple, just to go down the list. Just to go, number one, this next month. I don't know what the books are. I've never read them, but let's just get on with it and order them maybe 3 at a time, and for the next 3 months.
Okay.
Sally, that's an excellent suggestion.
Okay, so we're going to do these books in order. So we'll start with number 1 for May and go on down the line, if that's okay with you guys. Okay, so let's take a vote to review these books in order.
I move that we read these books in order.
I'll second that.
I'll vote yes.
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 Okay, I guess we've approved that list. Now we're going to talk about the next item, which is the next meeting, May 12th, 2025.
We already approved it.
Yep. Okay, members and staff comments is next. You guys have anything up here?
I do have a comment. I understand the concern about inappropriate children's or young adult material, but this month we're starting to tread on thin ice as we pretend to be the Library Righteous Committee for other adults. Why are we reviewing and discussing adult books? If an adult is offended by a book, they have every right to put it down, return it to the library if that's where they got it, or throw it out if they purchased it. Furthermore, they have the right to tell anyone what they think of the material. This month, at least 5 of the books on the docket are adult material, some of which have been on library shelves for years with no challenges being filed. The fact that this committee is presuming to review adults for adults makes me uncomfortable in the same way as telling individuals how they should vote. We don't remove candidates we don't like from the ballot. We, as adults, have a choice to not vote for them. The same is true with books. You may find offensive. Just don't read them. Thanks.
Nancy, could you tell us which are those books, those 5 adult books?
Maybe Now, Verity, Normal People, Bluest Eye, and Water for Elephants are all adult books.
Are all these adult books in the adult section?
As far as I know, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to answer Dee's question. And how do I feel about this committee? When I volunteered to be on this committee, my grand idea was we're supposed to be representing the people in our districts and what their thoughts are, and be speaking for them because not everybody could be here. And I, for one, am very discouraged by this committee because it doesn't matter that the taxpayers don't want to pay for porn and all these terrible stuff that is on the shelf for kids to read that can get them, that are maybe in the young adult section or maybe they're not. It doesn't matter because as long as the progressives are running the library, everything goes. So no, I'm not encouraged. We're going to do our best up here. We cannot like it and it doesn't matter. That's the way I feel. It doesn't really matter what we think because we are a small people trying to say, hey, I know there's a lot of people that don't want their money going to this. And until the culture changes and the heart of man changes, or we defund the library with federal dollars, which is my vote, we do our best. And we try to speak for those that can't speak. And what will be, will be.
I'd like to address that same question. There are times I feel that we are becoming frustrated. Personally, I think it's an interesting journey because to me, this is not the banning of books. It is actually being fiscally responsible to the people in this community on what books to purchase to deliver these books to them for no charge. They have a library card. That's great. And I don't see why I don't see why the taxpayers should have this onus on books that are available in other places, especially when we are addressing the young adults. And the other, I wanted to ask our librarian too, Nancy. She's a wealth of information. What organization oversees the libraries as a organization, as a group? There is none? I thought there was a library association. No?
The Alaska Library Association is a professional organization.
Okay.
It's not a group that oversees individual libraries.
No, I didn't mean oversee the libraries. I meant the librarians. The librarians are part of that organization. That's not mandatory, is it?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering that. And my next question, I'm assuming they have a website?
Yes.
Yes, and the reason I ask that is because I would like to see the mission statements. And one of the things when I was growing up, I was under the impression that the librarian was in control of everything in the library. And of course, growing up, I found out that, well, there's the school board that is involved. There are the parents that are involved. The PTA was involved, and who knows whatever groups were involved with libraries, and the kids were involved. But the one thing I felt protected by the librarians because they seemed to, like I said, they were in control of the library. They were there to assist the kids, and they're still there to assist the kids. But I'm confused now because we have these challenge books, and if the library says that the parents are responsible for what the kids read, okay, I understand that. But my understanding is the librarians are also responsible what goes in the library and where they are placed. And I could be misguided by that. So that's why I have a little confusion on why a lot of these, quote, challenge books are in the library. Some of them I don't see that much of a challenge with, but others I do see, especially in the young adult. So anyhow, that was my oratory for the day, and thank you very much.
I have a couple of comments. The Mat-Su Borough is a conservative area. We might not be like, obviously not Anchorage and other areas, but this is a conservative community, and parents get involved, and our school board represents the conservative viewpoint, and I'm just the fact that we have a committee doing what we're doing proves that we are a conservative group of people out here in the valley. I appreciate the fact to be on this board, and I have many granddaughters and great-granddaughters, and obviously they can go any place they want to find porn. It does not have to be under their fingertips in the school libraries. That's my
That's my opinion.
Anyone else? Okay, so I guess we can move on to adjournment. A motion to adjourn the meeting for tonight?
I move we adjourn.
For this
And I'll
evening.
second.
Meeting adjourned.